My number 3, I'm Your Woman, going back to Amazon again.
Oh, yeah.
Marvelous Miss Maisel herself, with Rachel Brosnahan.
Oh, she's such a good actress.
Yeah, written by Julia Hart, who did Miss Stevens, Fast Color, and Stargirl, which I've never seen any of them. I've heard they're good, but I've not.
Keep hearing good
seen
things, but don't know even what they're about.
I'll commit to Fast Color at some point.
Yeah, me too.
That's always been on my list to check out. She's married to Jordan Horowitz, the producer. So he was the guy who famously ran out on stage and bitch slapped Warren Beatty and said, "No, you're wrong. Moonlight won, you idiot." That's him.
Wow.
So that is her husband, the director. So she comes from a very fun family, but it's great. This is watching like James Caan in Thief, or Godfather, or any of those kind of like hard-boiled like gangster movies of the 1970s, like from the female's perspective. Like the wife's perspective, like what are those family members? What are what would they do in some sort of weird, crazy fallout, of the Godfather or whatever? And so that's kind of what she set out to do when she kind of wrote this and everything like that. But it's great. Rachel Brosnahan plays the wife of a criminal who is kind of like an upper middle class gangster. This is, set in the 70s on the East Coast. I want to say Philly. At least nice. Parts of it are in Philly.
Okay.
And it's great. It looks great. It feels great. There's good action. It's tense at times. There's the baby element where there's Rachel Brosnahan's character is kind of a wife of this gangster guy named Eddie. And one day he basically just comes home and hands her a baby. He says, "You always wanted a baby. Here's your baby."
Sweet.
And just so and it's not like a newborn baby. It's got to be I don't know, 4 or 5 months old. So like, where the hell did this baby come from? So she's just now a mother of a baby.
Wow.
And not too long thereafter, one of her he says, "Hey, I'm gonna be working late tonight. Don't worry about me. Blah, 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 whatever." She's in bed, baby's like next to her in a crib or something, and she hears like a frantic banging on the door. One of his associates is like, "Oh shit, something happened. We got to get you out of here." Starts rooting through her closet, knows where some like hidden cash is, basically puts like 200 grand in a duffel bag.
Right.
Yeah. Nice. He knows where to go or something. And she's freaking out. Like, what's going on? What's happening? Where's Eddie? What's going on? And so he kind of hands her off to another guy. And it's interesting because this guy who is now kind of a de facto bodyguard / handler, kind of whatever. He's a black guy, African-American guy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, sort of. He's basically kind of trying to squirrel her away. He's played by Arinzé Kene as Cal. And so there's kind of an interesting scenes. They kind of they want to talk a little bit about what the black experience of being kind of in this time where they get pulled over because it's a black man riding in a car with a white woman. It's in the 70s, but it's like still this cop is like, what's going on here? Like, how is this happening?
Right.
She's trying to explain it and everything. Obviously, has to make something up.
So and they still have the baby this whole time. Is this baby's
baby?
Is it part of it?
And so
is it like they bring the baby with them as they're hiding her or whatever?
Oh yeah.
Oh Jesus.
Oh yeah. They didn't leave the baby. But yeah, the baby is a big part of the whole movie. So, the director was, and Rachel Brosnahan, they kind of talked about how, depending on how the baby, there were 2 babies. They're just twin babies. I think that's what you have to do. So the babies would only work 4 hours a day. And then, this scene called for the baby to be asleep, but didn't want to do it. And then this scene needed the baby to be a little more animated and wouldn't do it. So like, it just created this whole weird dynamic of, shifting the tone of scenes, oftentimes based on the whims of a baby.
Baby's going to be awake in this scene. Guess what? Got to roll with it.
shake the baby. You know what I mean? But but they rewrote some scenes, I think, because one of the babies was so asleep that everyone on set was like, don't wake the fucking baby. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just roll with it. Like, now the scene is about the baby being asleep, and now the scene is about keeping the baby asleep in a car.
That's so cool because, I mean, I feel like that's why people love to throw babies in movies a lot of times, is you have this tension just because you can sense what a pain in the ass it was probably to get the baby to work in the scenes or whatever you have concocted. It's like, if you have a long take and like somebody's holding a baby, like you're almost like kind of like constantly looking over at the baby, like, oh, or is the baby gonna blow the take or whatever. So that definitely deserves some kudos for sure.
It was so weird listening to, was it Rachel Brosnahan or the director? I was listening to some interviews, and she's like, the babies were about a month old when I met them. And, you know, and I'm like, I don't want to cast judgment on you, but like, you have to be a complete psychopath to have like a 1 month old baby and be like, how can I get these babies in a movie?
It is crazy, man. I've definitely been I remember working on a commercial where like they needed a shot of a super cute baby, and they decided like on the day that the baby wasn't cute enough, or something happened where like the baby fell through or something like that. So they literally called somebody up that day, and it was like the same sort of thing. Like, this is like a newborn baby, like less than half a year old. And like, I think they drove 3 hours to get to the set or something like that. And I'll be goddamned if when the baby showed up, it wasn't one of the cutest babies I ever saw. So I guess some parents.
So the new replacement baby was cuter.
I think
so. They got what? How do they?
I think the other baby was older, and I think I'm trying to remember if it like was like the other baby didn't even make it to set. Like, I don't think it was like the baby couldn't make it to set, but I think they decided they didn't want to go with that baby before the baby arrived on set. So it was one of those things where it was like a last minute decision by some muckety muck on the day. So there still had to be this big scramble, but at least they didn't drag this poor baby to set before they asked them to leave. But it was also like, you had these other parents who had this like 4 or 5 month old baby that they had to drive 3 hours just to get to set to do film for, you know, half an hour. But that's what comes with the game.
Did the baby get paid scale then?
No, I'm pretty sure the baby got paid, you know, decently. You know, I'm sure it's just got all the pacifiers it could possibly want for a while. But yeah, man, it's crazy. Like, I think it's just like, some people know if you get in that game young, man, like, you know, there is, I feel like it attracts the best and worst people. So you either get people that are very smart and very cool, or just the absolute scum of humanity. And it often like doesn't go in between as much. It's just tends to be like one end or the other. So it's hard to say, but it is definitely interesting. But yeah, doing that in an indie movie, I feel like a commercial is one thing, but an indie movie, like doing that for months, must be rough.
It sounds like it.